There's a lot you don't know about me. I come out of this subculture.
All right, here it comes.
I want Jesus to be my amigo for my birthday.
I came here to escape it because I was ashamed of it. But it turns out that I'm ashamed of Jesus.
Is this gonna get weird?
Yeah, probably.
At Reed College, forget everything you think you may know, because you do not know anything.
Your private religious wacko beliefs are none of my business, but if you plan on ever making friends, get in the closet, Baptist boy.
Just a guy dressed in a Pope outfit pushing a burning shopping cart. Everyone here seems so sure of themselves.
You know nothing.
I just wanted to fit in.
You're okay with heights, right?
Was it you?
It was just a joke.
I don't even know what you did because you don't know the people that you hurt.
Think back to when you were nice.
Come on.
Do I look stupid?
You just look like you don't belong.
Don't you ever wonder why God doesn't just do something?
You only believe that stuff because you're afraid to hang out with people who don't.
I want to brainwash you, Donnie.
You really want to hear all this?
Friends may not think you're cool.
They smile, they shake your hand, and you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
It was a mistake.
Why are you trying to hide who you
I
are?
made mistakes.
Empathize. Write your own story.
The universe doesn't owe us meaning, son. If you want meaning, I suggest you try a dictionary.
My dad told me jazz is like life because it doesn't resolve. But what if we're not alone? What if all these stars are notes on a page of music swirling in the blue like jazz?
Are you ready?
There you go. So for those of you who have read Blue Like Jazz, it's not a book that you put down and think, oh, I see this movie in my head, right? It's like a collection of essays, and they're not even necessarily not all of them are even connected. It's like Don would tell you he just decided to he owed his publisher another book, and he had to turn in something, so he decided that he didn't have anything to lose, and he just supposedly just sat around in his underwear and wrote over the course of a few months and turned it in just to get out of finish his book. And in fact, when he finished the book, the publisher said, hey, this isn't long enough. So he had some friends draw some cartoon drawings, and he put those into the book to make it longer. And so it seemed like, there was, you saw the bit where Don's an astronaut. You've read the book, of course, that's one of these cartoon drawings, like takes up 7 or 8 pages, helps have this look out. And there's another sequence that people who haven't read the book are often confused about, where it's animated, where Don is like a rabbit chasing a carrot across the country, about this part, and same thing with like another section of 8 or 9 pages of drawings that help make for a fatter book. So, but for whatever reason, I finished this book. I was given it to a friend gave it to me to read over Christmas. I decided, oh, this will be the book that I read this year. And no, I read all the time. It was one of those books that I just finished it, and it's like, I gotta make this my next movie. I was looking for another project, and it just hit me. And it was a couple things. One, if you've read the book, or even if you haven't read the book, you may have heard about this scene that takes place in a confession booth, where, to give you a little background, Don Miller is a real guy. He grew up in suburban Houston, went to a Southern Baptist church growing up. Dad abandoned him, he and his sister and his mom, when he was pretty young. And so he grows up in this, very conservative Southern Baptist home, and then ends up moving to Portland, Oregon. And he moves into a house with like 4 guys a couple blocks away from this place, Reed College in Portland, Oregon. And he ends up auditing classes at Reed College and writing about the experience, because at Reed College at the time, the Prince Review, they called it the campus most likely in America to ignore God. So he ends up hanging out and ends up meeting a couple of fellow Christians at Reed College, but they're all so afraid of getting outed that they're like, they're trying to stay in the closet, like because Christianity is so unpopular. Christianity specifically is so unpopular at Reed College that they don't want anybody to know. They don't want to suffer the loss of social prestige, I guess. And so this happens during the course of the school year, and a few of them are getting together and meeting regularly, almost like they were an underground church. And they decide at the end of the school year, Reed College throws this big bash called Ren Fair, which is just like 3 days of sex and drugs and people running around naked. And I've actually been to it twice now to do research for the movie, and I had to get special permission just to go because they don't allow anybody that's not a student on campus during these 3 days. Like it gets sealed up. There's a perimeter put around the campus. They have guards there to make sure nobody comes in. I guess faculty members could drop in if they wanted to, but none of them want to. So I was allowed permission to observe this Red Fair over the course of the 3 days, and then again the following year, but over the course of the next 3 days, getting ready for for making the movie. And it was crazy. It's like drugs everywhere, and sort of unofficially sanctioned by the school. At least the party committee, and all these kind of odd, I don't know, they had something called the glow opera where people dress up in glow sticks and the lights are out and they, I don't know, act like mimes or something. I think you really needed to be high to enjoy that one. There's fireworks involved and different tents set up, and anyway, it was wild. So during this big end of school year party, Don and the fellow Christians decide, let's build a confession booth on campus, and they assume they're going to dress up like monks, and they assume that people are going to line up because it's like a joke, and they're going to confess their sins, in kind of a mock way over during the course of this weekend. And instead, Don and his friends, flip the script on them, and they end up confessing that they are, in fact, Christians, that they have been afraid to come out of the closet all year, and they go about apologizing for the reputation that Christians have developed on campuses as, not really following the teachings of Jesus and being more concerned about politics than the poor and loving people, and it's a really touching moment in the book, right? So if you read the book, it's like that's one of the greatest parts of the book. So I decided I want to make this movie. I want to end it with a confession booth scene. And Don Miller ends up being in town the following month. At this point, Blue Like Jazz was not a big popular book. It eventually became a New York Times bestseller, but at that point it was just sort of starting to bubble and people were talking about it. And so I show up at the reading that Don's going to have at this place downtown Nashville where I live called the Belcourt Theater. It has a line, the longest line I've ever seen. It's wrapped around the block. He ends up doing 2 packed-out screenings at the Belcourt. And then the organizer, who is a friend of mine, introduces us afterwards. Don was familiar with me from my music career, and I pitch him on turning Blue Like Jazz into a movie. And the 2 things I tell him are, number 1, I think we should end the movie with the confession booth scene. But I said, number 2, the big change, I think, is the story of the book of Don is a 30-year-old when he moves from Houston to Oregon. And he's a writer already. And I said, the story of a 30-year-old Christian writer who lives off campus for reading and audits classes, it's not really a movie story. And I said, in fact, on film, that could actually come off a little creepy. So what if we made your character a college student, like a 19-year-old college student who lives the experience? And Don was like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. I think he kind of intuitively understood that you couldn't take a book like Blue Like Jazz and just, translate it easily to screen without changing a number of things. And he said, well, let me think about it. And it turned out my last movie, The Second Chance, was opening that weekend across the country. So he went and saw it in Portland, Oregon, where he lives, and really liked it. And called me the next morning after he saw it and said, hey, I think, this is a great idea. We should do this, but could I help you write the screenplay? Well, typically, when you're going to adapt a book into a movie, the last thing you want is the author hanging around in the room while you're adapting it, right? Because, you know, you got to change stuff. Almost any book has to be changed on some level, but a memoir is particularly tricky because, you know, it's the author's real life, and he might get touchy about changing up too many things. But at the same time, if you've read Blue Like Jazz, you know that that's not a book that you can easily translate to the screen. We have to focus on a certain part of the story. I wanted to focus on the part where Don moves from Houston to Portland and is, you know, going to Lee College. There are characters that end up being dropped, you know, like if you read the book, there was one of the main characters, this character Tony the Beat Poet, and like I tossed him out of the movie like in the first day. Like, sorry, but, you know, we don't need a guy who just sits around and talks all the time. Like, that's not a movie, you know. And so I said, you know, Don, normally that's not a good idea. Like, the author being there is and he kind of pushed. He said, well, I'd love to do it. I think I could learn a lot from it, and you know, I think I can add value. I said, well, listen, why don't you go to this 3-day screenwriting seminar in LA? I've been to it a few times, and if nothing else, you can decide after 3 days whether you still think it's a good idea, because this will be really intense. It will teach you at least a vocabulary for screenwriting and give you a basic idea of what will be involved. So he went, he loved it, and came back like raring to go. So we started on working on the screenplay. Don, myself, and a longtime collaborator, Ben Pearson. And it was a great experience. But it was also an odd experience because there's Don in the room, and you know, we're treating Don's real story like it was something that could be changed up based on the needs of a movie. Now, have any of you read Don's most recent book called A Million Miles and 1,000 Years? Some of you have, right? So it's the story of us turning Blue Like Jazz into a screenplay. I don't know how much more meta you can get than that. And it's a pretty great book, I gotta say. A lot of people even like it more than Blue Like Jazz. It's different, but it's probably a bit more mature of a work, I guess. And the premise of the book is, I come, pitch him on turning Blue Like Jazz into a movie. He decides to join it with it, and we go through the process of taking his real life story and turning it into a movie story. And in the process, as you would know, we start changing things. So we put a big whiteboard up in Don's living room, and we start listening to things that we think are essential to turn, you know, if you're going to make Blue Like Jazz in a movie, what are the things that people are going to expect? We decided the confession booth scene was one of them. We decided that this Don the astronaut thing was popular, you know, the line drawing. That's got to be in there somehow. The sexy carrot thing's got to be in there. Certain main characters have to be in there, like Penny is one of the most important characters, so that needs to be happening. But then we start talking more and more about it, and you know, we'll take a certain scene that happens in the book. Should this be in it or not? And typically I would say, nah, I don't think that's going to work. Why not? Yeah, it'll be kind of boring on the screen. And we would work a little while longer, and another thing would come up. What do you think, Steve? No, I don't think it'll work. Why not? Yeah, it's boring. And so at a certain point, Don says, so this part of my life is boring, this part of my life is boring. You know, next time, I should just live a more interesting story than what I should change it to make it into a good movie. And sure enough, that is what he started doing. At the time we